Before we get started, FYI, this is not going to be a full 2 hours tonight. I had a back injury Friday that today I can sit upright, but after an hour, my back starts to have a lot of pain again and spasm. And if it goes into full spasm again, it'll go back into the major damage part. So tonight's class will be an hour, and then I'm going to put out a video of a sequence, pictures taken of me or of the other students, and like little letter boxes of another part of a sequence to do. So we'll do an abridged form of asana practice, do a little bit of pranayama, and then we'll get going. So just a heads up, so no one freaks out too hard. People are kind of trickling in, which is good. All right, so I'm going to mute everybody, and we'll get started. All right, sit on a bolster, blankets, or a block so you have some height to your hips. One of the reasons I ask you to do this is not because you're not students that have dedicated themselves to a level of practice where you could sit on the floor, but it's about supporting yourself so you could go to the next step instead of always fighting something. And that there's more beyond just the experience you're having right now that leads you to the next step, whether it's insight on your own physical body or your meditative asana practice. So yeah, sure, you could sit on the floor and push your spine up and flex your back and hold really tight. Or you could remove that fight and sit a little higher. Not because you can't, not because you're not good enough, but because you deserve to be taught how to move past where you are. Because in my mind, we come to the classroom because we want something different than what we've got. We find that teacher that gives us something more than where we are. So sit up on something, put the feet underneath the knees, right? Flex the foot. And when you flex the foot, flex the entire length of the foot back. So it's not just the toes, but your whole length of your foot down to your ankle is flexed. Keep it flexed so the thighs are buoyant. Right? So you're not just hanging out and tilting forward. Lean your body weight back slightly so you're on not just the front side of your pelvis, but towards the mid to back side. You're not slouching, the spine is still lifted. Place your hands on your thighs, lift your spine up as high as you can. Take a nice deep breath. As you exhale, keep the lift of the spine, drop your shoulders. And again, lean your body back slightly so you get out of the forward press of the chest. Move your head back. Press your hands into your thighs again, lift your spine up. On your exhale, don't squeeze the blades in, but squeeze your back ribs towards each other, your side ribs forward, your front ribs up. So you get the big domed open chest off your rib cage off your lungs. Hold that, let your shoulders drop down again. All right, let your eyes close. So as you take just a few minutes here, again, what I was saying earlier, what I offer is a teaching to help you go from where you are to where maybe you want to go. And this actually ties in to the 6th Yoga Sutra, right? Because every Tuesday we're going through them one by one. And the 6th Yoga Sutra is tied more directly to the 5th, whereas the 5th Yoga Sutra says that there are modifications of the mind. Some are good, some are bad. So if you missed that one, go to YouTube. You can get the talk and the practice. But the 6th one goes correct understanding, false understanding, imagination, sleep, and memory are the 5 categories of modifications of the mind. So he breaks them down way more clearly. And so it's a chance tonight to explore what the teacher's offering that might be something different than what we believe about ourselves, what we imagine about ourselves, what we remember about ourselves, and what we choose to sleep on ourselves, right? What we choose to sleep about in our own memory, what we choose to close our eyes to. So that maybe we'll find something that's slightly different, something we want to have for ourselves, not just what inspires us about what's being taught, but what inspires us that we can feel, create, and do in this practice. Because that's ingenuity, and that will tie into the 7th sutra next week. So, my friends, as we go through this work, let it not just be about each pose or all the things that would press upon you, but how each pose hits those 5 parts of yourself. And sometimes it takes years of working a pose or a practice until we understand what it's doing. And see your reaction and allow that to be kind of a marker for future diving of your own self. Poses make you happy, sad, if the yoga practice is so hard that you get angry with it, because you imagined yourself as being so much more capable of practicing. Or, why does my knee hurt? Were you asleep to the pain of your own body? Or, even the other side. Did you imagine you couldn't do any of this, but here you are, somehow you made it to class, and then you find that you can. The journey's not always about the pitfalls and rocks. A lot of times there's treasure along the way. That's why the 5th sutra said that those modifications are good and bad. The 6th clarifies what they are. So again, just for understanding, correct understanding, false understanding, imagination, sleep, and memory are the 5 categories. So as you go through the poses, if something triggers for you, check in with yourself. What the pose is and which of those 5 things is it hitting, so that you can change what you need when you need, and ultimately get what you came here for. Keep the eyes closed for another moment. A nice deep breath in, slow breath out. Because even here, seated up on these bolsters and props, feet flexed, head rise, ribs in place, you might already be triggering in some ways. And I know in our culture, talking about being triggered is a negative. Just as the 5th sutra said, some of these things are positive and some are negative. It's how we're going to use them. So ultimately, the practice is an enrichment of self. It improves all of us. Take a nice deep breath in, bring the palms together at the chest so the thumb is touching the sternum. Fingers spread slightly apart. Keep your head up, your eyes closed. We'll Om shortly 3 times and begin. Take a breath. Om. Flex your feet. Om. Back ribs in, sever forward, front rib up. Bow your head. Salute the essence of yoga inside yourself. Bring your hands into your lap. Let your head rise, your eyes open. All right. So grab a block. Actually, I take that back. Don't grab a block. Grab a yoga strap. Grab a yoga strap and sit on your bolster, blankets, or a block. Have some height to the hip again, but your legs are straight in front of you in Dandasana. Remember, Dandasana is our basic seated pose where the legs are straight, thighs are together, and the chest is lifted. Now, if this is very hard and you can't sit upright due to injuries or pain or something going on in your life, it's okay to put your back against something, couches, walls, other chairs, people, if you've asked permission. Take the strap, make a loop. If you're using something like a belt at home, you can, of course, loop the belt. If you're using a towel, you're going to be kind of SOL, but you're going to have to just grab hold of the towel. If you can make a loop, do so. And you want your loop to be about as wide as your shoulders, because you're going to place the loop around the bicep or the forearm muscle closer to the joint, away from the wrist, so the thicker part of the forearm. Yeah, so Lisa's got it. Tristan's headed that way. If this was a more formal, like, show format of yoga, we have a guest star yogi in the house. Stretch both arms straight out. Break out against the strap as hard as you can. Work here and already feel how when you start to flex your arms wide like this, breaking out against with your legs straight in front of you, Caitlin. Thank you, everybody, legs straight. Feel how your back muscle reacts. There's a tendency to either go forward and round your back, which puts pressure up on your low neck, or pull back and push your bottom ribs out, which puts it all into your low back and sways. Actually, will make your legs not work as hard and makes your low back work more. Not very good. So when you're here, breaking out against the strap, retract the humerus bone, the bone between your elbow and shoulder, back into the socket without pushing your ribs out. Don't make your back, upper back or mid back or low back, do the work that this action, retraction and widening, can do. So when you do that, break the strap, it allows you to flex your thighs and push your thighs down so you can pick your chest up, not your bottom floating ribs out, but your whole rib cage, especially from the back and sides up. So when you break out against the strap, think about picking your rib cage up into the space of your armpit. There you go. So the shoulders set back in the socket correctly. Yes. Now take both arms straight up. Everybody, do the best you can. When you took your arms up, where in your back and in your legs did it disengage? Now this is important to feel. So when we start what's going to happen later, you're going to get a little bit more awareness of how to remove tension from the joint of the shoulder and put it into the upper back where it belongs. So break the strap. And instead of worrying about going back, especially for those of us with very tight shoulders, hard upper backs, really tired, whatever's going on in your world, bring your hands forward about 6 inches. And instead of trying to push it back, remember, I didn't say take the arms back. I said take the arms up. So from the bottom rib to armpit, up through the wrist. Don't take them back, but stretch up the direction the fingers are pointing. Lift so you feel that lift of the rib into that armpit, and then move them back. So there's more about the lateral lift and extension than it is just how much the hinge of the shoulder joint can work. This is important because if you only push from the shoulder joint, you're going to consistently and improperly over time create impingements and bad range of motion. Now, this is hard. Just even doing this is exhausting, especially if you keep your thighs flexed like I have. Thank you. Because she's the guest. She doesn't have to do the pose. It's just going to have to half-ass it. She made the mistake of showing up in the house, so now I can really pick on her. Before it was Tristan. Tristan's like, oh, thank God. Someone else is going to take it. Break the strap. Pull your toes back, work your thighs. And already, when you've been in this for about a minute, check in with the mental story. What is it you're observing about this? And then check in with those 5 states of mental modification. Where do you want to go to sleep? Where do you want to check out? Where do you have something going through your head that's about, your own imagination of where this is going to go, or what you should already be able to do? Correct understanding. Believing that the way you learned it in the past is the only correct way. False understanding. You were taught to do it this way, but, one time your shoulder got hurt, so this is just a bad way for you forever. Nothing is forever. And memory. I don't remember using a strap. I don't remember my back hurting that much. So they hold the pose. I'm going to change the lighting. This is a very small venue, right? We're skeleton crew. I'm the lighting guy and the teacher. All right, bring your arms down. Bring your arms down. Stretch both arms straight out in front of you again. Now move the strap up near your bicep. strap, belt, whatever it is. If you haven't bought a yoga strap yet, $8 on Amazon. If you just can't afford one, let me know. I probably got a billion of these things laying around. Now break out against the strap. Around the tricep, bicep, it's going to be much different than around the forearm. Now you're going to have to work some of the chest muscle more, and you can't just work the joint. So when you press out on the bicep, feel how the muscles under your shoulder blades, scapularis, subscapularis, want to work. And if you're picking your shoulder up into your neck, you're going to feel this work, your trapezius work. So again, retract the humerus bone back into the shoulder. Not swing the ribs, right? The core body's up. Retract it back into the shoulder, and then press the bicep, which is on top of the humerus bone, the triceps on the bottom. Press the bicep out against it. So it's a slight external rotation. And then the hard part is you can't just not use the tricep. Push the bicep out, and then try to push the tricep out at the same time. So the top and bottom of the arm are both flexing and pushing out against that strap. Not easy, because now the chest muscle has to work, and you can't just twist one way or twist the other, because this is all front chest muscle, internal is all your back. Doing both at the same time would be both working together. Again, very important for what's to come. So pick the arms up halfway, because from everybody, the strap is going to hit us in the face. You're just going to have to do it. Go up a little higher, Tristan. Flex your thighs again. Break the straps. Notice that if you work your legs, your chest and spine pick up. Keep that extension. Break the strap. Bicep out, tricep out. Top, bottom of the arm equal. Just as the last weeks we worked on the front, back, inner, and outer part of the leg to stabilize the body, the arms will stabilize the shoulder. Go up a little higher. Now I said up. Now that doesn't necessarily mean back. Up, go with the direction of the fingers first. So you lift the rib cage, you lift the side body. There you go. So you feel that strap go up your face a little bit, and then you move it back. So once the strap hits your face, that's as far as you need to go. And work there. Because if you even just work there, pick your chest up towards the strap, not out. Think about the front side of your spine ascending. Exhale, bring the arms down. Not too bad. Take your straps off for right now. Go ahead and grab a chair, everybody. So we'll give you 30 seconds to get your chairs. I don't care if it's a stool, has arms, has no arms, whatever you got. So the ladies are going to set the chairs up. I'm going to ask Tristan, would you put your chair on that end of your mat with the seat facing this way? And Elise, you're going to put yours down here with your seat facing that way. That two of you, they can get the two different angle view. Great. So once you have your chair, everyone is going to lay on your stomach with your head going towards the chair. You want to be far enough from your chair that you can put both hands up on the seat of the chair with your elbows straight. If you cannot place both hands on the seat of the chair with your elbows straight, you put your hands on the chair legs themselves and only climb to the height that your body can comfortably do this. So you see Tristan and Elise both are there. So I'm going to give everyone a few more seconds to get there. Good. So on your stomach, hands up on the chair. If you're using a stool, the stool is too high for most of us to be able to work anything. So only go up about 1.5 feet or 2 feet off the floor, up the chair legs, if you're using tall stools. So now there's a real lesson in listening. I hope you've got your volume turned up so you can hear me and you don't need to watch the screen. I'll try to keep it always, as always, like I teach. You can learn auditory and then use your senses of sight on your own body. Push both hands flat into the seat of the chair as you can. Not just the wrist or the fingers, but try to go for the space between the index finger and palm. Push it down. If you're holding onto the chair leg or stool leg, squeeze the space between the index finger and palm so the index and thumb pinch in tighter. This will allow you to get some of the inner and outer arm flexing. So even if you just lay here passively, for most of us, this is going to stretch the shoulders a lot. But this is also where some of the work that we did in Dandasana can teach us a thing or two about extending the upper back. So our lower back is free to move. One of the things that is very challenging in backward bends is how the low back can feel very tight or pinched. So as best as I can think to explain it right now, when we learn to extend and lengthen the upper back, you will start to create space in the lower back to find some freedom of movement. Because when the upper back is tight or rounded down, the low back is already getting compressed. Compression in the lower back means the greater back muscle is not working to support the lift of the spine, and then your groin muscles, psoas, and all those things that once they go out cause a lot of back pain, as I've experienced, can happen.
I have a question, Dustin. Just real quick. How should the neck be?
Your head should be hanging down towards the floor right now.
Okay.
So go ahead.
And then without hyperextending in the elbows, since it's like you're almost like your weight is pressing into your hands. So it's like, how could I prevent from hyperextension?
I'm going to address that right now.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Good question. So as you start pressing down in the hands, it is very easy to want to push the elbow joints down to do this pose. So what I would like for you to do is to press your hands down, lift your head up first, and then your chest up as high as you can so you can look at your elbows. When you look at your elbows, they can either be turned up, in, or down. In this case, the best action would be somewhere in between up and in. Try to turn the elbows at not straight up, not straight in, but kind of at a middle angle, and flex your tricep muscle. It's the same action as when you were breaking the strap. If we wanted to get really strong about this, and we will, we're going to put the strap back around the biceps and brace out. So flex the bicep and the tricep and push the arms out wide, like you're not just pushing down on the chair, but you're trying to tear the chair apart. You're trying to peel the fabric or the metal wide. And that's going to change how your upper back flexes. Right, ladies? Great. Puppy. Yeah, he has an opinion. Now, with your head up and chest up a little bit, instead of just trying to put your body weight down into the hands, stretch your rib cage towards your hands, and you'll find you lift a little bit more, because there's the extension of your upper back that releases your lower. You might even be able to lift a little higher. So think about your ribs, your armpit to your hands pressing down and pulling apart, and hold for a moment or two and breathe. Your legs might want to flex. Let them flex a little. They might want to come apart. Definitely let them come apart right now. We will be working the legs closer together to stretch the low back, but right now they're coming apart. We want to teach the upper back to extend and lengthen to get out of the slouch Netflix posture that we're all living in right now. All right. Take the head down, arms down, and rest for a moment. Caitlin, did that fix for you? You don't have to answer. You just give me a thumbs up. Thumbs up. Excellent. So take a second to rest. You know, just breathing here. And then when we go back next time, because we're going to go back next time, think about how you can start to extend the rib cage first, create length from the ribs to the armpit to the arms, and then we'll create the lift in the backward bend. We may not have pressure pain in the low back here, but this is also about preventing, because I promise you, at all point, you know, one point something else is going to change, and then the hypermobility of your low back won't be there. All right, hands up in the chair. Palms flat, head down. Start already lengthening the rib cage. Can you stretch from your side ribs to your armpit to your hands, and then push down on the chair and then pull the chair apart? So you have to work the inner part of the hand down. Or if you've got the chair legs, you're in super extra easy mode. You can really grip and pull the chair apart, and now lift your spine up. The front side of your spine, not just your head, not just your shoulders. Go to the front side of the spine, deep into the chest, right? The other side of your spinal column, just about an inch, and pull that up and long, and then lift. So now we're back where we were, right? The real test is, are you using your core and your back, or using your shoulder and neck? Let's find out. Keep your left arm where it is. Take your right hand straight up in the air, high as you can. Don't twist. Your shoulders should stay in the same height, in the same lane of height. There we go. Right hand down, left arm up. If you find yourself twisting, I guarantee you're going to your shoulders. Did you stop pushing the right hand into the chair, and did you stop pushing the chair, like peeling it to the right, or the chair legs? Even if your like wrist comes up and just flickers, like you're trying. You're starting to teach the back and core to all work together. Arms down, chest up, pull the chair apart. Both arms up. Do you like high five each other? All right, arms down. Good job. Rest for a second. So even if you couldn't get your hands up, but you only got a little bit of lift, but they kind of lifted and fell at the same time, good. That means you're working the right muscle sets. If you can keep both up and floating, great. You're working the muscle sets. If you took one arm up and you totally twisted to the side, that's very much your neck. That's very much your shoulders, and you're not going to maintain any lift there. Even if you only like held for like a brief second, like, and you fell, that's fine. That's all good. This is about learning something different. All right, hands up in the chair. I'm not tired yet, says the guy sitting here drinking water. Press your hands down on the seat of the chair, pull the chair apart, or grip the chair legs, pull the legs apart, chest up, but lengthen the ribs first. Ribs long, heart, chest up, so you can move the head back. If you've been in my prior classes, you know I'm a big fan of getting us out of this tucked chin or collapsed neck. Pick the crown of the head up and lift up through the crown of the head and move the whole head back, so you have to flex the upper back a little bit more, because it's easy enough to lift the chest with the arms or the core, but to actually flex that upper 5 inches of our upper back, we have to actually start moving the head back any degree to start teaching that muscle to flex. We move it this way all the time. This direction, that extension back will matter for the stability. Let's get into the legs, shall we? Bend your right knee. Keep your right knee bent. Lift your right knee up the floor as high as you can go. Try not to push your left leg in the floor to do this. And notice which of your shoulders wanted to fall down towards the ground. Did you shrink your shoulders and your ribs down to your stomach? Re-lengthen, lift the chest, and then work the leg up. Make the lower back work its muscle on its own. You may cramp, it may sore a little bit. Fine, I'm happy for you. Right leg down, left leg up. Good. Check in with yourself. When you started to come down, was it down because your back is tight, normal, or did your ribs kind of pull and shrink towards the pelvis? Stretch the ribs away and lift up, because even if you go down, that's fine, but do not shrink on the spine. Pull the chair apart so the hands are not floating, they are strong. Pick up both knees, bend both feet, float both legs up. Do the best you can. A few more seconds. All right, legs down, arms down, rest. Woo! All right, hands up in the seat of the chair. We're not done. We still got ways to go. One of the things that backward bending does for your body is not just make your spine supple, but it also stretches some muscles in your pelvis and abdomen that are very important to the suppleness and health of your spine. Your psoas muscle, all sorts of stuff. We won't get into it. But backward bends are one of the things that is very counteractive to our day-to-day posture, how we sit in chairs, how we slouch, things like that. Backward bending is incredibly important to the health of your body, not just your shoulders, but your spine, your hamstrings, your pelvis, all of it. So I encourage you to practice this. You know, grab your chair, give it a couple minutes a day. You'd be surprised at what you see in a month happen. Press the palms down, pull the chair apart, chest up, head back. Very good. Bend your right knee as best you can. Keep your chest. Take your right hand back behind you and grab your foot. If you cannot grab your foot, use a yoga strap around your foot. So I'm going to make them hold it while those of you that need a strap, get your strap. Those of you still holding the pose while people getting their strap, get their strap, work your left hand. Don't just push down, but pull to the left. So you're engaging the inner arm to lift. Stretch your ribs into it. Now, even though the right arm is behind you, the shoulders are off. Are you still stretching and extending the rib cage? This is important because if you do not, your legs will not have the strength to lift you. Push your foot against your hand to lift your chest up more. So at least you feel the pull of it in the shoulder. You may not actually get a lift to the chest, but at least if you're laying there on the ground, just collapse. Your foot's in your hand. Push your foot against your hand to start teaching your legs and your core to work together to release your spine. This is one of the most important things to learn is those two muscle sets stabilizing the spine. Let the leg go. Bring your hand to the mat, to the chair. Bend your left knee, left hand goes back. Grab a hold. I'm going to give 10, 15 seconds for those of you that need to lasso your foot. I say lasso, this is Texas. What we do. You give someone some rope and something needs to be caught, we lasso it. Right? I'm looking at you, yeah. Jesus. All right, get what you got. And before you start pushing your leg and blow your knee out, stretch your rib cage first. Press down through the right arm, pull the right hand to the right, and you lengthen the ribs away from the hips, and then work the leg against the back. The work of your back and your ribs and the extension of the arms will help release your back to be more mobile. Especially then when you start working backward bends like this, bow pose, to get both the quads and the core working together. You may not go far. You may only just be grabbing your foot and pushing a little bit, but any flexion of that, or even just keeping a hand on the chair, helping you lift, is going to start teaching that stabilization. Bring the leg down. Hands on the floor, rest for a moment. Few deep breaths. Let your body get stabilized. Right? Start checking in. Where you sleep about your own body and your own feelings. What truths or false things that you want to hold on to harder than anything because something's challenging them. What are you imagining you could be doing? And what are your memories about yourself or your past practices or things that you've been told about yourself by others or you've even told yourself that may not be true? Where are those coming up? Because check those modifications of the mind. There's the line in our culture that, in many cultures, but I'm in the culture I'm in, that goes, I am my own worst critic. And I think the Yoga Sutras are a way to look at it, especially this one, the tools the critic uses to keep us, in a certain way or a certain place. And that critic being the ego. Hands on the chair. We can never get rid of the ego, but by God, we can remove his tools. So do the best you can. Support is here. Press your hands into the chair. Stretch your ribs first. Ribs away from the hips. Chest lifts, head up. Very nice. Just bend both knees. You thought we were going to go both hands to the feet right now. Not time for that. Wait till next week. Thursday. Take your knees and squeeze them tight together. Squeeze your big toes, inner heels, and thighs as tight as you can. And for some of us, this will be an immense amount of flexion and work around the sacral plate, the low back, and the tailbone. Even our hamstrings. Pick your knees up off the floor any degree. And notice how the first thing that your legs want to do is fly apart, right? That is a flexion of the lower back. Now pause. Stretch your chest away from your hips and then work your legs. And you'll notice maybe a little difference. right? Because the first thing we want to do is crunch to try and make more muscle flexion. Even if your legs float for a second, you do what you can. You come down, you rest, and you float again. All right, bring your legs down. I didn't say bring your chest down. Stretch your ribs out away from your hips. Press your hands down. Pull the chair apart. Bend both knees. Pick up both feet off the floor. Squeeze your thighs together, knees together, heels together. Pick both knees up off the floor as high as you can. Feel the height of the leg that you have now. Try to keep that height of the knee. Straighten the leg out away from your body. As your ribs stretch away from your hips, your legs stretch away from your hips also. Did your knees come apart? Probably. Squeeze them back in. If they come apart and you can't squeeze them back in, everybody bend your knees. If you can touch your knees together here, keep them here. Chest up, chest out. Last few seconds. Slowly straighten the leg again, but only to the point where you feel like your knees are going to separate, and then stop. When they start to separate, there's kind of a tendency to go into the groin and back a bit much. I want you to start to keep the knees softly bent. Even it can be very bent. I would much rather the knees together and the legs flexing to straighten and having that control rather than everything falling apart. Are we aware? It's very good. Yeah, nice. All right, legs down, arms down. Rest for a moment. All right. Take a moment, everybody. Move your chairs off your yoga mats. Honey, yellow cover. All right, move your chairs off your mat. Extra puppies. All right, lay on your stomachs again. If you'll just be willing to watch Tristan and Elise for a moment, I'm going to talk you through this one, because there's three parts of this we're going to do. So I'm going to ask the ladies to bend their right knees, bringing their right heels towards their buttocks. For a lot of us, this range of motion, they're way past the 90-degree bend. So they're 120 roughly or so. Doing really good. We can't reach that. If you cannot reach your foot with your hand, you cannot reach your right hand up and grab your foot, grab a strap now so you'll be able to do it later. So what you're going to do, this is a lot of elbow bend here. I want you to bend your elbow and pull the heel towards the buttock. Now, the elbow tends to want to go out to the side on this. I want you to keep it pointing up as much as you can so the front of your shoulder comes up away from the floor. Keep watching. We're almost through. Point the foot. It is not a flexed foot. The toes are not curled back. The foot is pointed, and you're pointing it like you're trying to curl the arch and touch the toes towards your glute. And it's the top of the foot you grab, not the ankle. Tristan's doing a very good job of showing this. When you pull down, you'll probably get a quad stretch. Not too bad. Bring your knees together. Then we're going to go to, no, don't let go. We're going to go to part two, which is keep your knee together, move the foot to the outside of the hip, and then draw it down a little. This will be a little bit more advanced. Then you grab both feet. Finish watching. They're almost there. Knees stay together. Pull your heels wide a little bit, and then down. Elbows stay bent and pointed up. Good, everybody. Finally, I'm going to ask Tristan and Elise to stay where they are. Listen. You take your hands, and it's not about wrapping your hand around the backside. You have to turn the top of your palm flat onto your foot. So the heel of your hand is kind of laying across your toes or joints. Oh, and this may not be where everyone goes tonight. Push your hands into your feet. Pick your chest up and look out. The heels come down, though. You do not push your feet against your hands. This is just totally your hands pushing against your legs, and you pick your chest up by your elbows bending. So you push your hands down and kind of drag your feet towards your spine. That's the backward bend. It's a very good one. It's very challenging. You may not all get to this point, but we're going to work what we can. I want to give you something not just where you are, but where you can go. Come on down, ladies. Well, all right, you have seen. Now go do. Lay on your stomachs. How was that? Yeah, your outer knee. Yeah, I have this. I have too. What that is good. All right, laying on your stomach, bend your right knee. Isn't this nice? You get to lay down for most of class. Right hand grabs right foot. Bend the elbow, point the elbow up towards the ceiling. It's easy to let it go out, pull it up. So this pulls the shoulder away from the floor. This gives you a chance to practice for a brief moment, stretching your chest bone out away from your hips. Even laying flat, you kind of stretch it out a little. You don't just let yourself kind of collapse in. Pull the heel down to your glute as best you can with a hand or by a strap. Take a couple breaths. Switch legs. Pull the heel down to the glute. Elbow bent, elbows pointing up to the ceiling. Let the quad stretch. You may feel a knee stretch. That's okay. Best you can. Keep doing the pose and breathing. A few nice breaths here. Okay, switch feet, right side. Grab that foot, pull the heel down. When you're ready, squeeze the thighs together, stretch the heart out. Pull the heel to the outside of the hip a little bit. Just start to teach that rotation. And it's not about the whole leg going out so your foot's laying on its side. You only slide your heel to the outside of the hip like you're trying to pull the heel towards the floor, not the whole outside of your foot. Elbow stays up. Flex your quads, bring them in towards each other. And think about your quad lengthening away from your hip. So it's an elongation of that. So let's check on the class here. Very nice, everybody. Switch feet. So you have a hold of the left foot. When you're ready, squeeze the thighs together first, then slide the heel to the outside of the hip and then pull the heel down. A few more seconds. All right. Bend both knees. Grab both feet. Bend both elbows. You got this, Tris. Try to take the top of the palm flat to the top of the foot, so the toes would be maybe touching your wrist. Just do the best you can. If you can't grab your foot, using a strap. Bend your elbows a little. Even if you're holding on by straps, start training that shoulder to come back, that chest bone to lift. Squeeze your thighs together. Push your hands down. Lift your head first. And instead of just pushing your head back, pick your head up and then stretch your chest bone out and then push your hands down and lift a little more. The heels must come down though. You cannot use your legs on this one. Bend your elbows, Tristan. More bend. The deeper you bend your elbows, the more you're going to get. This really works to pull the chest muscles and it starts to train the chest itself to lift. You want to have, really good looking upper torso pecs, nice collarbones. Don't skip chest day at the yoga gym. This is what this is. Bend the elbows, Ryan. Yeah, I see you, buddy. All right, take a couple breaths. Glenda, bend your elbows. Caitlin, bend those elbows. Thank you all. Exhale, come on down and rest. Oh, nicely done. Lay on your backs for a moment, grab a yoga strap. You okay, Tris? Very happy about it. All right, laying on your back, grab your yoga strap. Let's twist to relieve the back, and then we'll do a short pranayama, and then I have to, get off my spine. Laying flat on your back, hook your right leg, stretch the leg straight up. I don't know why that took so long for my brain to work. Hold on to the strap with only your left hand. Nothing fancy. Take your right leg, push it up against the strap, all the same work we've been doing in the past weeks, and stretch the right leg across to the left side, roll it onto your hip. Try to move your whole hip. Instead of just taking your leg across and then your pelvis, roll your whole chunk of your pelvis over. So you're moving into a twist. Hip stacks on the other hip. I don't care if your right arm comes up off the floor, your right shoulder does. So push your leg against that strap. Once you've started the twist, I don't care if your leg goes to the floor. Your leg could be held by a partner, neighbor, or your own couch. As you see, Tristan's using her prop well. That means she gets to use the twist better. Push your leg into the strap. So it's like the backside of your buttock stretching all the way to your heel. And then bend that elbow and pull on that strap. So really deepen the stretch that you're going to get from your low back to your hip. Take a breath. Stretch your right ribs to the right as your right leg works to the left anymore from the glute. Right? Right. It's a nice release of the back. How's that feel? Feels good? Tristan? I just get an All right. Good enough. I'll take it. Few deep breaths. Bring the leg up, untwist, switch your legs. I apologize, it just seems like we're moving fast, right? We, truncating to an hour. Left leg up, really work the strength of the leg up into that strap so that when you pull with the right hand, the left leg across, you roll the whole hip. Don't just move the leg and then the hip follows. Move the hip, move the pelvis. So you're rotating the spine, not just the connective tissue of your pelvis. That we've worked a lot of the pelvic muscle in that backward bend. Sure, your back may be tired, but trust me, you've done a lot to stabilize your pelvis from sitting. If you lean on your couch like I do, sideways slant. Push from the backside of the thigh down the length of the whole leg, and then bend the elbow to pull that strap in closer. It doesn't even matter if the foot gets to the floor. In most cases, the foot being higher releases your hips so you can pull the foot closer and get a better stretch. Stretch your left ribs to the left as your left leg moves across towards your right. Few more seconds, so let the back release. All right, bring the whole leg up by twisting the whole pelvis onto your back. Take the strap off. Nicely done. Sit on a bolster, block, blankets, whatever you need to sit upright, like we did at the very start. So I'm going to take you through a pranayama sequence here, and then from upright, since we are truncated a little bit on time, we're going to do a short upright thing to start practicing. So again, the way I had you sit at the very start of class is actually how I prefer to teach everyone to start this work now, because if we start seated and our hip is tight, we have a tight knee, our back is not, quite as mobile, the more height we add to the hip, the easier it is to lift the spine and keep it lifted. So sit on something. Feet under the knee, flex the foot. Bring the palms up, just get the hands out of the way. So when we're seated upright, very much similar to class, take the moment, press the back of the hands, and there's a reason, don't turn the palms down, just press the back of the hand into the thigh, lift the chest, Exhale, drop the shoulders. Again, press the back of the hand into the thigh. Pull the back ribs in, side ribs forward, front rib up. So now, one of the first things that you can start practicing in pranayama, in upright especially, is one of the bandhas or locks. Jalandhara, right? That's the chin one? Yeah. Jalandhara bandha. Jalandhara bandha is not a compression of the chin to the chest, like this. It is a retraction of the base of the jaw back, so the muscle and flesh of the neck move towards the back side of the neck. It looks like this. So I came down slightly with my chin. I moved my head back to get out of my normal slouch. And then I locked. That's why it's called a bandha. It means to lock. I locked my chin towards my chest. Not down here, but way up here towards the collarbones. By picking my chest up towards my chin and my chest. I am not sliding my head down. My head tilts down slightly, retracts back, and I fold deeper at the base of the skull. You might feel a stretch in your neck when you do this, especially if you have tight back muscles. So for a moment, kind of practice with it. Try it different ways. Try pulling it all the way down to your chest and slouching. It's not very zen, I promise. Try it like Elise, where you're just giving yourself a double chin by compressing your chin into your neck. Retract follow from the tip of your jaw to the base of your jaw, pull it back like a line. Then pick your chest up, puff the chest up. You want to breathe deep and learn the secrets of like all that muscle work? Pull your sternum up to your chin and pull your chin down deeper into your sternum. You can hear my voice modulate. It goes very wide when you do this. For a lock, it actually opens the breathing passageways easier. All right. So regardless where you are, chin down, chin going towards collarbone. If you're not connected there, you're not getting the lock. If you're gripping in your jaw, you're not getting the lock. If you're doing it in your eyes, you're not getting the lock. If you're doing it with your shoulders, that's not the lock. The lock is very much the muscles of the sternum lifting and the neck coming down into that connection point. And I'm very harsh on this because it is very important. If you cannot create that connection easily, if you'll watch me for 2 seconds, you take a strap. Because Elise was having trouble there. I saw she was having some work. Yeah, it's not easy, huh? What was hard? You couldn't find the connection? It just hurts, yeah. So if we're really tight, it might not be easy in the beginning to make this connection. So you take a strap or an eye pillow or a rolled up, take your socks, make a ball, and you make a folded up pad. And it does a lot of the similar action. So I'm going to hand this to Elise. Just buckle out of the way. So whatever you're going to use, you hold out your collarbone like the bow tie. Chin back. Chest pushes the bow tie up. So, bow ties are up here. Chin back, head back, chin back. Now pull it down into the bow tie. Now push the bow tie up with your chest. There you go. How's that feel? Better. Good. How's that, Tris? Better. Good. So everyone, if you want to try that, godsend. If you have any tension in your neck, that is the way to go. Make that space so you get the release. So again, back of the hands on the thighs. I'll talk you through the whole structure to set up for it, and then I'll take you through a cycle. I don't go very deep cycles with people teaching them to sit upright beginning in Jalandhara because it is more important to practice Jalandhara well than it is to half-ass Jalandhara and then do like 40 minutes of pranayama. It can create a lot of neck pain. It can create a lot of jaw tension. That's why we can do just a few minutes here. Because I want you to get a good feel for it and do less pranayama if it means with Jalandhara, if it means you only do Jalandhara right for that short amount of time. I would rather have 5 minutes of really good Jalandhara and pranayama than 30 minutes of neck pained out, poor practice. All right. Press the back of the hands into the thighs because it makes you pull your shoulders down. Fun fact, when you push your hands into your thighs, your shoulders lift up. When you push the back of your hands into your thighs, your shoulders come down. Human bodies are neat. Pull the spine up so you create Jalandhara harder. Drop the shoulders. Push the back of the hands again. Back ribs in, center forward, front rib up. So it locks Jalandhara in more. Hold that. Exhale, drop the shoulders. And now only breathe through your nose. Close the eyes. Keep the eyes closed. Turn the eyes towards the tips of your nose. And if you feel like your mind is wandering, you're getting, the 5 modulations of the mind, you're starting to get a little too crowded. Be willing to open them slightly, look at the tip of your nose, and then close them again. When you breathe here, don't just breathe abdominally or just in the lungs, but breathe in a directional sense. The diaphragm, just above the stomach, there's the top of the diaphragm near the bottom foot and rib and the bottom of it. Breathe from the bottom of your diaphragm like you are a fountain pulling water up right before it spills out. So when you take that breath in, breathe from the bottom of the diaphragm up so there's a floating, a widening of the lung. And breathe wide, like a V from the base of the diaphragm up to the corners of your collarbones near the shoulders. So you're breathing the breath away from Jalandhara. You're breathing it around Jalandhara. Then when you exhale, exhale the same way. Let the V come in, down, shrink. Exhaling as you go. Then check, can you keep your ribs up, your legs flexed, all of that jazz? Is Jalandhara still locked in? Because this is about you really being aware of the modulations affecting your breath. Take another breath in from the base of the diaphragm up, V wide. Feel the expanse of the lungs. Feel the lungs press the ribs. Feel the new space. Feel all the shit that wants to come up, all the modulations. And then when you exhale, keep all that space and lift. Exhale, let the V, the lungs, deflate back to the bottom of the diaphragm, but don't lose the lock. Take 5 seconds on this next inhale. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 seconds on the exhale. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 in. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 out. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 in. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Keep the Jalandhara. 5 out. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Breathe normally, holding Jalandhara for a moment. Just check in with your body. The next, we're going to add retention. We're going to count retention inhale, retention exhale. We're going to start only holding for a count of 1 on each, and then I'll increase it over 5 cycles. So the final cycle will be 5 inhale, 5 hold, 5 exhale, 5 hold. Keep Jalandhara. Keep the ribs lifted, back ribs in, side rib forward, front rib up. And don't be afraid to let the tension of the upper chest, especially you, go so your shoulders hang and you can breathe way up to the collarbone. Stretch those lungs. Good, Tristan. All right, here we go. Everyone, let the eyes look towards the tip of the nose. Let the eyes close. Very good. Take a nice deep breath in. Completely exhale. Here we go. 1, 2. This is inhale. 3, 4, 5. Hold that fullness. 1. Exhale. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Hold emptiness. 1. Inhale. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Hold fullness. 1, 2. Exhale. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Hold emptiness. 1, 2. Inhale. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Hold fullness. 1, 2, 3. Exhale. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Hold empty. 1, 2, 3. Inhale. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Hold fullness. 1, 2, 3, 4. Exhale. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Hold emptiness. 1, 2, 3, 4. Last round. Inhale. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Hold fullness. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Exhale. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Hold emptiness. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. On your inhale, do not inhale to a count. Just inhale, taking your neck out of Jalandhara. Inhale in, head up. Nicely done. Good. So this was a shorter run of this because I would much rather you kind of break it down. So when during the pranayama did your mind start to go, or when did Jalandhara break down, or when did your neck get fatigued? So that you can kind of practice in the areas where you can start to make a smoothness of this. Because one of the things that I've experienced and I've talked to many students about, they have in pranayama, especially upright, is they start to have pain, and when the pain happens, fear happens, and when fear happens, everything else starts to kick in, and it really takes us into some negative places. And so it's better, even if you can only do Jalandhara, like 5 inhale, 2 holds, like hold for 2 seconds, 5 exhale, 2 seconds, but then after that it spirals. If you only practice to that point, that's the stretch right there, and then maybe you stretch it a little bit, but don't force it. Or you could then even do it up to that point and then lay down and finish the series. But it's more important you start to kind of create that exploration, because even if you only touch on the fear, touch on the worry, touch on that stuff, that's starting to understand those modifications of the mind. And that's really where the philosophy becomes a personal practice rather than just what the teacher tells me is right. So that's where, you know, upright seated starts and the locks really start going. All right, so like I said, short truncated version. So you know, I don't need to tell you all how to do Savasana. So I'll let you all go do that here in just a moment. I'm going to give it just a couple minutes. If anyone has any questions, I'll unmute you and we can do that now. I just want to say thank you for everyone for being here. It's so nice to see everybody. And I will put out a series, a fun post sequence or something with some maybe fun chair modifications or stuff like that to do at home. That'll be out later this week.